I have a statement to read. This is a public hearing, and we are the Zoning Board of Adjustment for Putnam County, Florida. We operate under the authorities of Article 11 and 12 of the Land Development Code as amended. The primary responsibility of the board is to hear and decide appeals challenging final determinations made by the Planning and Development Services Department under the Land Development Code, and to hear and act upon requests for variances, special use permits, non-conforming use determinations, and preliminary development plans under the Land Development Code. Today, we only have a special use permit, so I'm going to not read the section on a variance. A special use permit is special permission to use the property in a fashion in which the zoning classification of the property does not automatically permit. If we grant a special use permit, we may impose reasonable conditions on the use of the property, which must be satisfied if the special use permit is to remain valid. Unlike a change in the zoning classification, as a rule, a special use permit applies only to the specific use requested in the application for a special use permit. The standards we use in deciding whether or not to grant a special use permit are listed in Section 45-1083 of the Land Development Code. Procedurally, we will call this case by name and number. A member of the staff will then briefly explain to us the nature of each request. We will then take any comments from the applicant or their representative, followed by public comments concerning the request. Please direct all comments and statements to the board and not to other people in the audience. Before speaking, we will ask each person to be recognized, come forward to the lectern, and identify his or herself by name and address. All persons wishing to speak have been heard. We will entertain a motion from the board. This motion will be voted on by the board members and become our final order. Any decision made by the board can be appealed to the circuit court. However, any appeal must be filed within 30 days after the Zoning Board of Adjustment has rendered the final order which is being appealed. Are there any questions? Before the first case is heard, all those speaking will need to be sworn in, so will the notary please administer the oath. Okay, before we hear from the staff, we need to do a ex parte communication or conflict of interest roll call.
Weaver,
No.
Willie McGahee,
No.
Linda Osborne,
No.
Ron West.
No.
Okay, our first case today is special use permit 26-000007.
Good afternoon, board. Happy World Cup summer to those who celebrate. For the record, this is Ethan Thompson presenting SUP 26-000007, which is a special use permit for a communication tower in the agriculture zoning district. Applicants are a help agency of the Forest Incorporated. The agent is Mary Palmer. Aaron Garnett is here in the audience on behalf of Mary and their law firm Baker Donaldson. Parcel ID number is 30-12-26-0000-0070-0010. Our 911 address is 2932 South State Road 19, Palatka, Florida 32177. The parcel has split zoning. Most of it is zoned agriculture, and the front portion, the eastern portion, is zoned commercial 2, with a future land use of agriculture. The subject parcel totals 3.36 acres in the Ag and C2 zoning district. The tower site is proposed to be an area of undeveloped, partially wooded land on a 10,000 square foot lease space, which is going to be 100 by 100. The request is for a special use permit to develop a cell tower that will be 190 feet tall with a 5-foot lightning rod totaling 200 feet. Land Development Code Section 45-72E10 requires a special use permit to locate a cell tower in the Ag zoning district. Here is an aerial of the property. Here is that split zoning. The future land use map. It's located in flood zone X. No apparent wetlands on the parcel. Here is a boundary and topographic survey of the property. This is the only document we have that's not been updated to that 200 foot. It'll still say proposed 300, but that will be fixed in the future for any potential future submittals. And the rest of the site plans that we have are updated. So this is the overall site plan for the 200 foot with the 120 foot fall radius. This will be the enlarged compound layout, as well as the tower elevation map or page. Certified fall letter. These are the handoff sites. The closest, at time of submittal, the closest active cell tower location was 6.3 miles away. There's one that's not yet on air or wasn't when they submitted, and belongs to a different market, but that one would be 3 miles away if it were active and they could locate on it. I'll briefly go over the general special use permit requirements here. So staff finds that the criteria has been met as the use is consistent with the agriculture future land use for type 1 community facilities. We find that the criteria has also been met for section 4572E10, which specifically requires a special use permit for a cell tower in ag zoning. And we do not anticipate, staff does not anticipate that this development will adversely impact the area. The tower is proposed to be approximately 500 feet west of the property line, which is adjacent to State Road 19. And the closest guy anchor is about 323 feet away from that same boundary line. All areas will be fenced to prevent unauthorized access. And aside from the state road, the surrounding use is primarily a national forest. The proposed tower is not anticipated to substantially diminish property values. However, only a certified property appraiser could make a professional opinion regarding property values. The site will access State Road 19 via a 30-foot access easement. The proposed tower will only have some periodic trips by technicians for maintenance. So staff does not anticipate any measurable traffic impacts. Again, ingress egress is provided by an easement to State Road 19. The development has been reviewed by Development Review Committee as of yesterday, and the committee determined that their submitted plans could move forward contingent upon approval of this special use permit application and some comments that will be resolved by the applicant. The applicant has requested a waiver from the landscaping requirements. That has been granted on all sides except for the eastern side, which is the direction of the church and the state road. That will still be required to be landscaped and buffered as per the land development code's regulations. And then no lighting except as required by the FAA has been proposed due to the tower's location within the military restricted operation zone. The United States Navy is requiring that the tower have lighting which is compatible with night vision goggles. There are no hazardous substances proposed for the development, and staff does not anticipate that the communication tower will pose an adverse effect or will have an adverse effect on the health and welfare of the residents of Putnam County, as there is no residential development nearby. Moving on to more particular findings by ZBOA for cell towers. Co-location on an existing tower is not viable. It is proposed to fill a gap in the T-Mobile coverage area, as shown in the handoff map. There's no active tower within 6 miles. The proposed tower is supported by 3 guy wires, closest of which is set back approximately 323 feet from State Road 19. Again, going back to landscaping, they've requested a waiver, which was granted on all sides except for the side which faces the church on the east, which will still have to comply with landscaping regulations in the Land Development Code. There are no significant structures on the property that are depicted as being within this tower certified fall radius. There does appear to be what looks like an RC track that will be partially within, And based on staff's visit to the site, there also appears to be a raised platform with a roof that'll be within it, but otherwise, no structures are within that fall zone. The surrounding uses consist primarily of national forest land. The property to the south has a restaurant and lounge, but it does not appear that that restaurant has been operational for some time. The subject parcel is relatively flat with partial foliage coverage. And the applicant's site plans, as well as the county's GIS maps, do not depict any protected or environmentally sensitive lands on the subject property. With exception to the southern 1 acre parcel with the restaurant lounge that is not in operation, the subject parcel is surrounded by the Ocala National Forest. The proposed tower is not anticipated to have any significant detrimental impact on property values. Once again, only a certified property appraiser could provide an expert opinion on that. And staff believes that the applicable design standards for the proposed 200-foot communication tower have been met by the applicant and have been verified by the Development Review Committee and will be further verified upon building permit review. Staff's conclusion. The applicant has requested a special use permit to allow a 195-foot with 5-foot lightning rod communications tower in the Ag zoning district. Staff finds that the application meets the requirements of the special use permit pursuant to section 45-1083 and the supplemental use regulations pursuant to section 45-172 and recommends approval of the request to allow for the development of a 195-foot with a 5-foot lightning rod communication tower on the subject parcel, subject to the following conditions. Applicant must obtain DRC review and approval. It will not exceed 200 total feet in height. Must have lighting that is compatible with night vision goggles. Obtain and maintain any applicable county, state, federal licenses and registrations. Communication tower and all appurtenances to said tower must remain completely within the area of the parcel zoned ag. Prior to the issuance of building permit, submit a surety bond to the county administrator payable to the Board of County Commissioners equal to 150% of the estimated cost of dismantling the tower. Prior to the issuance of a building permit, provide an easement granted by the fee owner of the remaining land underlying the tower in favor of Putnam County to access the communication tower site for removal. Prior to the issuance of a building permit, provide written permission from all record owners in a form acceptable to the county for county staff, agent, contractors to enter the subject site for demolition if it's found to be in violation. Putnam County shall have the opportunity to co-locate on this tower for any position other than the highest position. Every 10 years from completion of construction, the owner of the tower must submit a structural engineering report, and placement of the communication tower must adhere to the locational requirements of section 45-172. Are there any questions for staff?
No questions on this, but what was the gentleman's last name that's representing today?
Garnett.
Darnett?
Garnett with a G.
Barnett, okay. Thank you. Any other questions for staff? Okay, before we hear the applicant, we need to do a site visit roll call, please.
Yes. Linda Osborne?
Let's just say I attempted, and once I got to the Marion County line with no GPS and no cell service, I decided I had gone too far, and I turned around. So I guess I'll have to say, no, I did not physically see that piece of property.
Okay. Willie McGahee?
Yes.
Troy Weaver?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Barnett, are you ready to come before the board? For the record, please state your name and address.
My name is Aaron Garnett. My address is 923 Gulfview Street, Orlando, Florida, 32804, and I'm an attorney with Baker Donaldson and on
Okay.
behalf of the applicant.
Thank you.
We're here today asking for the special use permit. We believe that it meets the requirements as the staff report has found. We want to just commend and also say thanks to the staff for working with us on our application and through the process. But we believe the report is very thorough and finds that we meet the requirements in order to be issued a special use permit to build the facility. Just providing the board a little context too, we originally started out at 300 feet. The Navy objected to it for various reasons. We worked with the Navy and we reduced the tower height, and that's how we arrived at the height where we're at now, which is the 195 feet with the 5-foot lightning rod. The one thing, just to be safe, I don't know if it was entered into the record because it was after, but I would request just to enter into our communication with the Navy on that, just so that it's part of the record, if that.
We have some communication, but it's, is it anything differently than what we have?
Madam Chair, I cannot recall what this document is and what we provided
Oh, okay.
to the zoning board, so.
Okay, you can just give it to us then.
It's the same email.
Yeah, is there a mic? I'm sorry to say. You may want to pull it up a little bit higher. Sometimes the acoustics in here is not the greatest. Okay. Yeah, I think I've seen this. Okay.
I just wasn't sure if it was part of the record, wanted for
Right.
all purposes to be made sure it was part of the record. But ultimately, we'd ask that the board grant our special use permit, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Anyone have any questions? Okay. I guess that's it then. Thank you, sir. Well, there's no one in the audience, but I will still go ahead and ask the question. Is there anyone wishing to come forward and speak in favor of this application? No one's coming forward. Anyone wishing to come forward and speak in opposition? Okay, at this time, since there's no more discussion on this case, we'll close it to the public and open it up for vote, board motion and vote.
Question for staff. There were originally 8 conditions. Was there 1 or 2 more added?
A few were added after our
didn't see that.
communications and the applicant's communications with the Navy, to make sure that so the night vision, lighting consistent with night vision goggles was one of them. I believe the height was one of them, and then the deputy county administrator wanted an opportunity to co-locate. So I believe that was discussed between us and the applicant, which would have been the 3rd edition.
There was 11 conditions.
Yes, sir. 11 total.
Right, okay. 9, 10, 11 were added. Okay. I said 9, 10, and 11 were added. Okay. Didn't catch that.
I move we approve special case SUP 26000007 as the request meets the criteria for special use permit as required by section 45-1083 of the Putnam County Land Development Code with the 11 conditions recommended by staff, and authorize the chair to sign the final order.
Second.
We have a motion and second to approve special use permit 26-000007. Any further discussion? If not, all of those in favor, please indicate by raising your right hand. All opposed, motion carries 4-0. So there is a 30-day appeal process, so if there's any issues, please work closely with staff, and good luck. Maybe the next time I go down there, you'll have cell tower available. Thank you. Okay, the next on the agenda is old business. Do we have any old business? Dan Dodge resigned, so I guess, maybe that should be new business, but, and then also I didn't know to mention, but Mark Fisher left us this last month, or in April, so we're down, we have 7 members all together, right? Okay.
Yes, ma'am, that is correct. And I also just want to give the zoning board an update on the West River Road communication tower. As you may know, that approval was appealed to the Circuit Court of Putnam County, and through legal counsel of the county, we managed to come to a settlement agreement. The appellants have already executed. We're just waiting on Rich to execute his end of that agreement.
Okay, so what type of agreement did they reach in, I mean, what they come to?
In summary, the settlement agreement just requires the special use permit to be reheard by the zoning board of adjustment with the understanding that the tower must be a minimum 750 feet away from the nearest residentially zoned property or residential structure in ag zoning, whichever is more restrictive.
Well, I read most of the appeal material, and so I did notice in there that they said that the special use permit should have noted that it had to be 750 feet away. But, you know, that's one of those things I don't think we knew for sure, other than having to hear the variance. So I guess we assumed, which is maybe our mistake. But anyway, I guess it's all going to be resolved. Right.
That's the way it looks.
Okay. All right. I guess the next thing is the approval of the minutes for April 15th, 2026. Has everybody had a chance to read them? If so, can I have a motion to approve?
Move to approve as read.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and second to approve the minutes of April 15th, 2026. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries 4-0. I guess if that's nothing else, we will stand adjourned. And thanks everybody for coming. Anything else? All right, have a good one.